Well, blockbuster of a weekend ahead of us. Ten Hag finally got the sack. Man United is getting a new manager. Chelsea was washed during the week. Man United, Ruud van Nistelrooy, the new era begins. Man City washed during the weekend. Arsenal managed to pick a win inside there. So it's been pretty interesting this whole week. Yeah. Welcome to yet another episode of Mr. Vamos Dissects. Today the assignment is simple. We have a big tie ahead of us this weekend. Chelsea takes on Man United, rather Man United hosts Chelsea at the Theatre of Dreams. And then, of course, Ruud van Nistelrooy taking the realm at Man United. Ten Hag penning his emotional farewell to the Man United fans. It's been long overdue, but we will dissect into that and get into that. Well, for those of you that are new here, please don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to buzz us, don't forget to tell us what's up. Let's talk about this football thing together. Well, straight up, we'll start with the whole Ten Hag and then Ruud van Nistelrooy, and then there's a new man coming in from Sporting, Ruben Almiron, coming in to coach Man United after the international break on 11th November. Well, the week has been good for very Man United fans because they've been expecting their team to begin cooking sports and all that. And they started on a high against Leicester City, took them to the sword, 5-2 inside there. Or Bruno Fernandes getting back on the score sheet. Casemiro, of course, back on the score sheet again. Well, he scored during the week. He scored, I think, the last goal of the Ten Hag era. So back on the score sheet inside there with a beauty of a strike for his first goal in there. Well, what changes at Man United after the sack of Ten Hag? I think Roy Keane came through the other day and said that most of these players need to have some balls and character. But we've had players like Harry Maguire, Rashford, who have been part. Harry Maguire, Rashford, Luke Shaw have been part of the sacking of all these managers: Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ragnick, Ten Hag. So it's somewhat the mentality of the players needs to be checked inside there. Well, somewhat I think Ten Hag, well, he kudos to the work that he did at Man United, winning 2 trophies at Man United was something that he would be proud of and all that. But at some point, his tactics went wrong. The boys were not playing according to the system. There was actually no system in play. And I think everything went wrong when he decided to employ Mazraoui as a number 10. Well, for a coach, you'd probably be bamboozled to find out that you have very many creative players on the bench, and then you're playing a player that you somewhat played in Ajax and making him play in a number 10 position. And then the player in question here didn't actually, I would count how many touches he did on that ball in there. Yeah. And then by the time he goes to West Ham, so Diego Dalot goes on to miss a sitter. I don't believe me, I think some of these players reach a point and they're like, man, we need this manager out. Let's fluff our lines, because you don't just get past the goalkeeper and put that ball out of that net. Well, the resurgence of Ruud van Nistelrooy, I think, well, this is a player that is a Man United great. If we were up to, like, from the striking point of view, I'm thinking Joshua Zirkzee and Eric and Rasmus Højlund have to learn a lot from the main man, because he was a poacher. He scored very many goals for Man United. Yeah, he must have been one of those strikers when you put him in the books of Louis Saha, Dimitar Berbatov, Michael Owen, and all those guys. He ranks up there in racking up the goals. For these 2 strikers, I think they have a lot to learn from him. And then I think it helps Man United to, like, work on all the egos of these players. But I think the Man United players, most of them are very egoistic. Take a player like Marcus Rashford. These are players that, well, he was only 19 the other day scoring against Midtjylland, Midtjylland, whatever it's called. And he's now 27, for heaven's sake. And, well, he's been dropping in stinkers week in and week out. But I think Man United now needs a manager that wants to talk to these boys and get them cooking. Well, I'll be here the day when Pep Guardiola manages to take Jeremy Doku to become the player that he's supposed to be. Well, of course, work on his finishing and all his assists and all that. But Ruud van Nistelrooy, just like any other manager that's interim and has come through to coach, you start your career on a high. Yeah? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer began his Man United thing against Cardiff. He put that game to bed in no time. He scored those guys 5 goals. Anthony Martial by then was still at his peak. Marcus Rashford, Ander Herrera, those guys were cooking. Of course, it's a system that works, but after a while, the players get back to sleep. Well, what's really impressive about the Sporting guy coming through? Well, when you're to look into his CV, well, just to give you a pretty interesting stat, Ten Hag had gotten 11 points out of 9 games. Yeah, I don't know if he saw that stuff coming, but I think he thought he had the backing of those guys up that side. But I think it was over for him. So Eric Ten Hag picking 11 points in 9 games was something that I don't know if he was looking into it and seeing it. But well, this is Amiron who somewhat played against some of these Man United guys. He played against Christian Eriksen. He played with Cristiano Ronaldo in the Portugal national team. He was a coach of Braga. Well, he played for Braga at some point, and then he coached them. And after his impressive CV with Braga, he came to Sporting. Well, when you're getting Sporting and Man United right now, those boys have gone 10 wins in a row, right? They've gotten 10 in 10 after the win yesterday. And now he has the main man, Victor Gyökeres, who has been put in goals left, right, center. Yeah, it was pretty interesting to see how that bad man scored a hat trick on the night. And it looked like maybe this is a tribute to my manager. Of course, in his words, he's like, well, we'll wait and see what happens if I'll actually follow the coach and see if I go with him to Manchester. But based on all the things that I've heard about this coach is that he wants to work on the egos of players. He doesn't want complacency in that team. But well, this is Man United. I think Man United as a unit needs to also organize itself as a unit, yeah? Because most of these players somewhat think they no longer have the values that the guys of Patrice Evra had back in the day. Playing for Man United was like a sense of responsibility back in the day. But recently, it's a matter of let me just put on the badge and let's see what happens. Yeah, if you go and watch most of Patrice Evra videos, most of the time when the senior players were injured, those guys used to play under injuries because they didn't want to let the Old Trafford fortress down. But it's a different thing these days. Yeah. Well, straight into the big clash. Man United takes on Chelsea. The statistic is Man United has not lost at Old Trafford against Chelsea since 2020. Of course, the last time Man United passed Chelsea at the Stamford Bridge, Chelsea went and scored a goal and Man United went 2 goals, yeah? So 2-1 up. And then everything happened. Man United went on to lose 4-3. Cole Palmer, of course, being ice cold inside there and putting them to bed. Of course, not making Dalot very many times in that game. It was not a nice thing to see. Well, just like any new manager who is coaching Man United, I think Ruud van Nistelrooy looks at this game and is like, this is a game I need to maybe stake my claim because the Sporting guy, the new coach, Amiron, says that he's coming with this coaching department. Where does that leave Ruud van Nistelrooy? That somewhat means that Ruud van Nistelrooy has to ponder his future and all that. But of course, he wants to come out of this Man United job with very many wins. Remember Michael Carrick when he was at the Roma Man United, he ensured to put in all those wins. By the time the new manager came through, he had already made a name for himself. And now he's the coach at Middlesbrough. He's cooking sports since then. But Man United versus Chelsea at a very interesting time. Chelsea is on the back of a 2-0 loss at Newcastle. Newcastle, who they managed to beat in the Premier League the last weekend. Well, the interesting bit for me here would be I keep saying this over and over again. I think Chelsea's defense is really in shambles, right? Well, they saw Trevor Chalobah, they loaned him to Crystal Palace. He's actually not playing games in there, but there's been a discussion recently about Trevor Chalobah being better than Disasi, Badiashile, and the whole Chelsea backline. I think the only stable defender that Chelsea might have is Colwill, of which personally I don't really rate Colwill per se because there's something about England central defenders that just doesn't sit well with me. Well, Badiashile and Disasi single-handedly combined to ensure that Chelsea lost against Newcastle. Yeah, and then of course Maresca tried to rotate his players a bit. Yeah, he tried to sit out Enzo Fernandez inside there. He's like, oh, maybe let me sit Enzo Fernandez, let me sit Cole Palmer. This is just a game where we've been collecting very many points. We'll go on and win. And just like any fan outside there, when you lose a game and yet you've been used to winning, you begin doubting the coach's tactics and all that. Well, I think Maresca has really done a very good job at Chelsea. Yeah, but until he gets his backline stable, I think there'll be a big problem inside there. Very many Chelsea guys are saying maybe this could be the season where we actually get to win stuff, maybe trophies or something, get back to winning ways and stuff. But it will be crazy because now Rhys James got back from injury. Rhys James, I think we're going to give Rhys James maybe 50 minutes just to get another injury. You add Rhys James to Mason Mount. These are English players that I think some of these players need to get into an early retirement just for the sake of their careers and not for us to make them become a laughing stock like Dele Alli. Of course, Dele Alli went through depression and all. Well, attack-wise, I think Chelsea has been very lethal in front of the goal. Well, if you watch the goal they scored at Newcastle, for example, the Nicholas Jackson goal, It's a beautiful pass from Cole Palmer that broke the defense from their box. And then it sent Pedro Neto racing just to give Nicholas Jackson a free goal in there. Well, Pedro Neto has been cooking spots on the left wing with Cole Palmer coming through from the right and maybe playing as a number 10, more so being the creative inside there because Enzo Fernandez and Enzo Fernandez has been sitting in the middle there with Caicedo. And then, of course, sometimes Christopher Nkunku coming through. And then it's been nice to see how these guys have been cooking spots, yeah? But then the real question here would be, of course, we've been seeing there's been a discussion about Jadon Sancho again. Coach speaking about him being on the bench for 2 game weeks because maybe it's a tactical decision. I just don't want to burst the guy's bubble, but I don't want to think that maybe Eric Ten Hag would be seated in Netherlands and he's like, well, I told you guys about this boy because I don't think it's a tactical reason. If you're a bowler, you gotta be outside there playing the sport. So I don't think it's a tactical reason. Let me not Kusala Chidimi like very many people see, but personally, I'm rooting for the boy to get the minutes at Chelsea. I just hope he gets back playing. So if I'm thinking if that Chelsea line continues to cook the way they've been cooking with Pedro Neto, Nicholas Jackson, and maybe Christopher Nkunku on the right. I also don't trust Christopher Nkunku's fitness since that there. And then Cole Palmer behind them, it will enable them to cook. From Man United's point of view, the positives that were taken from the game against Leicester City was that even when you look at Amiron's stature of a team, how he wants to cook the team, he wants to play 3 defenders and then 2 wing backs, and then maybe 1 midfielder in front of the 2 midfielders in the middle, and then the striker. Amiron wants to use 2 CDMs, yeah? And then, of course, Ruud van Nistelrooy managed to employ 2 CDMs against Leicester City. Very many thought that, Manuel Ugarte was actually brought to replace Casemiro, who has been, of course, Casemiro, I think, class is permanent. I like to think that. He's been, well, after the Liverpool game, everything has changed about Casemiro, yeah? And then Kobe Mino getting injured was also something nice for him to maybe get back the minutes and all that. But Casemiro and Ugarte were rock solid on the night against Leicester City. They had a lot of interceptions. Ugarte doing all the dirty work and Casemiro spraying the passes left, right, and center. I think Man United been saying the Casemiro and Ugarte pivot against Chelsea, and then somewhat they might be able to sit down Cole Palmer. But if they get Cole Palmer and he exposes them, maybe he beats 1 or 2 of them, then there'll be a problem inside there. The problem for Man United in here today will be who is going to be their center partnership, because Wednesday night actually showed that Victor Lindelof and Matthias De Ligt will not actually cook. Yeah, I think Lindelof is those players that actually need to find space and find time to maybe cook in another team, because he's not that player that you're going to be sure you're going to play with him in the center back and you're sure that you're going to have coordination and all that. So if Matthias De Ligt gets into the center position with maybe Lisandro Martinez, maybe you get back Dalot and Mazraoui on the other end, then maybe Man United might play spots. Somewhat, I've seen Luke Shaw and Tyrell Malacia working on fitness to see that they're ready for calling by the time the new coach comes through. But it would be nice for maybe Tyrell Malacia to maybe get some minutes inside there and get back playing football. And then the other puzzle for Man United will be who starts in front of Bruno Fernandes. Well, I've been one of the guys that has been crying for Joshua Zirkzee maybe to play in front with Rasmus Højlund. But you figure when you play, let's call them 2 10s, because that will mean that Bruno Fernandes and Zirkzee will actually be the 10s inside there. It becomes crazy. It becomes tricky to see who is going to fall back in case you're being pressed. And of course, on the right and left, we've gotten used to seeing Marcus Rashford and Garnacho. Yeah, and then Rashford usually turns up in the big games. But I think we're still somewhat, Man United is still not tapping into the talents of Amad Diallo inside there. And then that Chelsea backline, believe me, by the time the pace of Rashford and Garnacho get to find Disasi and Co. and Badiashile, no offense to Disasi and Badiashile, but I think Man United lands on the defense of those 2 inside there, with maybe Reece James coming back. Maybe Cucurella has not been playing a lot. Maybe Malo Augusto might put in some work inside there, but I don't think he's very good defensive-wise. Then there will be a problem for Chelsea. Yeah? So this is going to be a game of a team that has been cooking spots versus a team that is probably trying to get back into their glory days. Yeah? I've been checking through some of the predictions. You all have been giving 3-1 Man United, 2-2 draw. Of course, everyone is optimistic that Man United might pull this fixture, and because of the shambolic display by Chelsea during the week, it looks like it's a possibility. Yeah? Let me give you guys my prediction before we go far. Yeah? I think Man United under Ruud van Nistelrooy, and basing on their record at Old Trafford against Chelsea, it's been 4 solid years since they lost. I think Man United looks like they're going to take this win home. Not they look like they're going to take this win home. Ruud van Nistelrooy needs this win for Man United, and I tell you guys that Man United actually takes the 3 points for me. Yeah, the worst thing that Man United might do in this fixture today is get a draw. But if I was giving you guys a prediction, for me, I think Man United would take this one away 2-1. Yeah, but then of course I'm backing Rasmus Højlund to rediscover his goal scoring form. Wait to see how these guys will actually be able to play a sequence of passes to the guy, because Casemiro has been pinging in a lot of balls in that box there. And if Garnacho stops being selfish inside there and maybe releasing the ball earlier, then you'll expect these guys to cook, yeah? Well, from Chelsea's point of view, if you manage to take Cole Palmer out, and then you will have been able to get that Chelsea side and put them to bed, yeah? So it will be a pretty interesting battle between Cole Palmer and the Man United midfield inside there. So if the Man United midfield combats him inside there, then it's a done. And then for Nicolas Jackson, I don't really think he scores big teams per se, but I don't think we should sleep. I don't think Man United should sleep on Nicolas Jackson, because somewhat he thinks he's supposed to answer very many critics. Of course, you had him going mouth to mouth with Johnny Obi Mikel. Obi Mikel telling him, just get us the goals consistent, and then we'll probably think about you more. So that's a 2-1 win for Man United. I don't want to go very far in that one. Just to chip in into these other games that are there, Man City faces a tricky Bournemouth. Yeah, Man City has a squad of 11 players that look injured. Yeah, I don't know if it's a Pep Guardiola stunt or something, but it's going to be a tricky test at Bournemouth. I expect Bournemouth to score a goal inside there. I'm not going to give you guys a direct score, but Bournemouth 0.5. Yeah, Arsenal takes on Newcastle. That Arsenal side also, of course, Bukayo Saka came back against Liverpool and put in a goal inside there. And Newcastle has been up and down recently, but I expect this team to be both teams to score for you. Yeah, Alexander Isaac to put in a goal for you. Aston Villa takes on Spurs. Well, Spurs is a very unreliable side. Yeah, but I expect both of these teams to score as well. Yeah, these are some of the predictions I'll give you. And then, believe me, I don't know what your buzz is about the new Man United manager. I don't know if you expect Man United to cook sports. You share with us and we see how that is going. Aside from that, enjoy the weekend. DJ League season finale happens tomorrow. I think you guys should keep your fingers crossed on that one as well. Terry League, we're back at Maroons Ground, Luzira. Anytime you all are going to become prisoners in jokes, but yeah, let's cook sports from whichever side we're cooking the sports. Let's ensure to cook the sports. It's been nice being back on set. And not to forget the Uganda Premier League got back. Kitara continues its slump in form. Lost again against URA. Of course, their former coach Brian Senyonjo is now at Express, and he was talking about how the big boss decided to sign very many players without consulting him, and he was actually looking to get out of the team. Well, Chitara continued to lose. I don't know what my guys from home are thinking about, but they need to work on it quickly, yeah? I think maybe Mike Mutebi might be seated there and he's like, maybe I need to get back into the coaching something. Maybe they need to look out for him and all that. And then all you guys that are going for Masaza, I think it's going to be crazy. Just make sure that you guys are not mugged and all that, because Nambola is already packed. By like 9 a.m., the whole stadium was full. So expect some Chiboko from inside there and some good Ugandan football. Stay safe, Sekawa. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to give us the feedback. It keeps us growing and all that. Vamos, we go again.